Hello, everyone. Good evening and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Damilola. Today's webinar is going to be anchored by Taiwo Beyoku, and he's going to be teaching us on acing the technical interview. He will take over from me in the next 5 minutes, but I implore you to please mute your microphone so that we can all hear what he has to say. And if you have questions while he's teaching, while the webinar is ongoing, you can send it in the group chat to the right, and he will answer your questions once he's done. So Taiwo will be taking over now. Please don't forget to mute your mic so everybody can hear what is going on.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm in Nigeria, Lagos precisely, so it's afternoon. Well, this is Cousant Connect. We are very excited to have you here. My name is Taiwo Beyoku. I'm the head of talent acquisition at Cousant, and I will be talking about acing the technical interview today. Please endeavor to mute your microphones as the background sounds from all over is affecting our sound here. Okay, so like I said earlier, it's really I'm really excited to have everyone on here again. And so whether you're just starting out a career or you're already a seasoned professional, my hope is that you will find this tips and materials and advice really useful. And so the plan is that once you start applying the tips from here, going forward, you would get better success from your technical interviews, and it would help you improve your performance at technical interviews. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. Please, how do we confirm that everyone is seeing my screen? Yeah. Okay, so we have what is a technical interview? A technical interview is a chance for the technical manager, or let's say the hiring manager, to assess the depth and breadth of your skill set and evaluate how you approach and solve real-world problems. So yeah, usually what the recruiter is looking out for is your approach to solving problems, and then really how you can explain to him the whole thought process behind how you are able to solve these problems. Okay, so I said interviewing is definitely a skill, and like every other skill, needs to be mastered. Okay, so let's get into it right away. how to fill an interview. As we can see, I assume if you already submitted your resume for an application and you've been called upon to attend an interview, you've done some of the hard work already and you've gone past the screening exercise. Yeah, well, here we have it. How to fill an interview. It's easier than you think. So one of the first things we have here is going in unprepared. This is very tricky. So sometimes some people go in for technical interviews without, a good amount of preparation, and sometimes this does not end up well for them. So that is the first one we have there. Tardiness. I can tell you that if I have an interview with you for 2 p.m. and you don't inform me on time that you're running late or there's a problem or there's some sort of delay, maybe traffic situation, and then you show up late, some interviewers honestly will just be thrown off and you're already at a major disadvantage. So ensure that you get to your interview on time. That is a major one as well. Another way to guarantee that you will not go through an interview, really, from my years of experience, is being overly confident, being overconfident rather. So sometimes, yeah, you know your stuff. You're a pro. You're very comfortable with all the technologies. What can they possibly ask you that you don't have already? That you have all the answers for. Sometimes it's not usually like that because the interviewer will be looking at a number of things. How even with all of your successes and your achievements, you can just keep a cool head and just tell him about the projects you've done and what you worked on, what technologies you're most comfortable with, and all of those things. So that's that over there. Being overconfident might not let you get to the next stage of the technical interview. And last on the list there, we have no expertise. So sometimes, most of the times, when a firm is recruiting, so when when they want an experienced hire, when you do not have the requisite experience or you just fall short of some of their standards, that can also not give you an edge over the other people that they will be interviewing. So let's get into the major content that I have for us today. So obviously what we are trying to do here is how to ensure that you ace the interview, you own the interview, and you do what the rest of the candidates, rest of the applicants are not doing, so we can guarantee your success to the next stage of the interview. Permit me to just skip this slide and go over to the next one. I think I'd like to come back to this after. Okay, so I have highlighted here what I call the important factors to a successful interview. So really, the first thing I have there is the mindset. So really, I think the first problem you might really have on a technical interview is yourself. So you really need to work on your confidence. You really need to be confident of yourself, and then at whatever point of your career you are in, if it's a big deal, you really need to know that you really need to sit up and be aware of what's at stake and be ready to give it all your all. So I say you should approach a technical interview as a warrior. Yeah, it's a war zone, and you should really do all of your homework to ensure that you're on top of things. Your confidence level needs to be high, and so this will definitely help your performance. Likability. Honestly, research has shown that people make up their minds about other people in the first few seconds of meeting with them. So trust me when I say it's really, really good to get off to a good start. So the first impressions, the truth is, if I am a hiring manager and I don't like you, the truth is just that somehow you might not eventually land that role. So I mean, being your likability is a direct reflection of the chances that you can move on to the next stage of an interview. So we have the skill set. So obviously, before you got to this stage of the interview, they had seen your resume. They had, looked at some of the projects that you had done.
In those exact words. Probably the man has brain damage. I don't give a shit what
So they just want to, now have a chat with you and understand your motivations, understand what kind of person you are, what soft skills you bring to the table. Are you a great team player? Do you have excellent communication skills? And some of those other details. So really, your skill set also matters really because as much as you listing out some of those things, the skills you have, technical skills you have for a role, you need to actually demonstrate and show that over time in your career, sometime in the past, you have used maybe such technologies or frameworks or tools to deliver some sort of project or solutions in the past. So skill set is a major one as well. You need to be able to walk the talk, like the saying. That's that about that. And so personality, for this one, I will just dwell more on the attitude. I've heard of instances, even in our firm here, there have been instances of very, very great software engineers. I mean, that they know their stuff, they know their trade, but somehow they have a bad attitude, or they don't have good people skills, or sometimes yes, when some of these things are the things that do not make them a great cultural fit. And I mean, this is 2019. Wherever you're going to be working, you're definitely going to be interacting with the cross-functional team of other members, and so the way you are able to collaborate and work with your managers, your colleagues, top management is key. And so trust me when I say the hiring manager would probably pick someone who is not as good, but will not will not bring some negative vibe to the team. And so sometimes if you don't want to be that person who everyone says is a top, is a genius, but he has a nasty attitude. And so yeah, your attitude, your excellent communication skills, and your mannerism, and all of this, they matter. And these are some of the important factors that I believe will guarantee you moving on to the next stage of your technical interview. Okay. So I have a technical interview to attend tomorrow now. How do I prepare myself and just get ready so that I do not mess things up? First of the things here that I have listed is you definitely need to prepare yourself mentally. How do you do this? There are a lot of things involved in this. You need to work on your self-confidence. You need to reevaluate your resume. I mean, you need to know. So oftentimes I know that people drop their CVs, the same resume, across different job openings. So let's say, for instance, I am applying for a software tester role somewhere. I'm applying for a front-end engineer role somewhere. I'm applying for a full stack developer role somewhere. I just have one standard resume and I drop it all over. The thing is, fine, I don't know, that works for some people, or in some other cases, some people would rather, work that resume to be work their resume for a particular role. But in all of that, you need to know your resume and dig deep and know what is on your resume, because that's your resume actually precedes you. I mean, the first thing that the technical interviewer sees about you is your resume. And so majorly, most times, the first questions that they would ask you would be some sort of introductory aspect of the whole interview. They want you to just get comfortable. It will be very awkward if you get on a call with me and the first thing I just ask you is, tell me about HTML. Or, usually there would be some detail on your resume where I'll just start with and I would say, okay, tell me about yourself. When you're telling me about yourself, I'll definitely make reference to what I have on your resume. And so you really need to prepare yourself mentally. And let me also put that on this aspect of preparing yourself mentally, you also need to, figure out your dressing. So for a physical interview, I'm trying to not talk about just physical interviews, because I mean these days we always have virtual calls as well and all. But yeah, because as long as it's some sort of interview, you would definitely show yourself at some point. So you need to work on your dressing. You need to work on your hygiene. Maybe your hair is properly combed, or just present yourself in some sort of good light, and then you can dig into the rest of the technical bits of the things that will be asked of you. Okay, so moving on, I say you need to know your fundamentals. What do I mean by this? So usually, the core, you for any technical interview, I believe that the interviewer would start from the basics of anything. It will start from the core. So for software engineering, your what are your algorithm skills? Are you comfortable with data structures? What design patterns do you use? All of those kind of details. Of all of and to step into higher level stuff, and now expect to brush up on your skills as well. And that would definitely help you. That would definitely help you improve your performance on the interview. And yeah, here we have the third one. You have to be articulate and very, very clear. Honestly, I mean, I don't know how else to stress this one. But these days, communication skills is a big thing. It's a big thing across every industry. So if you have excellent communication skills, or the lack of clear communication skills can really be an immediate deal breaker on a technical interview. Really, because also on a technical interview, an interviewer would expect you to be able to talk through the technical things and then break them down into simple things. I mean, my boss always says that simplicity is more, or what's that thing is? Yeah, so at the end of the day, you need to keep it simple, really. But in keeping it simple, you need to definitely be articulate and very clear, and just have excellent communication skills. Yeah. So on this, okay. So let's move on to arm yourself with a great portfolio. Definitely key. These days, for whatever role you're applying for, we need to see some significant work that you have done, be it a personal project, be it a project you did in the past. It could be like your GitHub account. It could be some open source project that you've done. Just something. You need to arm yourself with a great portfolio, because oftentimes after I'm done discussing your personality and some other things, and the interviewer would usually still want to see some some things that you've done in the past, and then they will talk about your code structure, talk about other things. So I mean, arming yourself with a great portfolio will give you more room to talk about more things outside of your your behavioral skills. Okay, so let's move on. The fifth one we have for preparing for the technical interviews is be yourself. Yeah, really, I always say this, that never ever forge it. Do not forge it, just be yourself. Really. So sometimes an interviewer asks you a question and you happen not to remember the answer, or you just get lost in something there. Just be yourself. And another way to go around this kind of things is be honest, really. And you can say something like, oh, I actually used that technology last week, but I mean, it's not coming to me right now. I can't seem to remember. Or if they ask you something that you've actually not been exposed to before, so say for instance they ask you about your exposure to C# .NET frameworks, you can say about C#, you can say something like, wow, I've actually I've not done much with C#, but I have some experience with VB.NET, and I can easily transition from this to that. I mean, it shows that there's that. I mean, thought process again. There's a way that you evaluate a problem, and you can easily find a way out of problems essentially. Okay, so the sixth one we have there says research, research, research. Sorry, I always say here that this is where you do the dirty work. Well, because eventually we expect that if you're going for an interview and you were informed about the interview beforehand, you should have done some sort of research. And research about everything, research about the role, research about the company. If you happen to know the panel or the interviewer, research about them, research about their technology stack, research about what's going on with them in the news, what are they in the news for, what's the brand. So some of these things definitely give you a higher chance of moving on at the technical with the technical interview. You need to there's no such thing as doing too much research. Just arm yourself with enough information about the firm, and then this would also eventually help you in asking questions around what's your role will be on the team, and what exactly will be going on when you join the team should you be successful with the interview. Okay, so moving on. Okay, so permit me to go back now. I had jumped a slide earlier and I said I was going to come back to that. So I think it's a good time to go back to that now. So yes, top skills technical recruiters are looking for. So usually I think there's this common assumption that technical interviews are for just direct question and answer sessions. Okay, I ask you, what is this? The person who gives me at the shortest time, I mean, has a higher chance of getting this and that. But no, it's not really like that, really. There are many factors that come into play when deciding, a very strong person or not. So, like I said earlier on, can you communicate? This is key. This is key. I don't know what else to say about that. We want to see how you understand whatever questions I'm asking you, and the ability to, think about it, process it, and then give me the answer to the question. And again, the thought process. Usually, I think before you can, if you're a problem solver, you really need to understand what the problem is, and then think through, okay, what are the solutions that can be brought to the table in solving this problem. And so your thought process and how you can communicate that across is key as well. And so also the technical part. So for a software developer role, can you actually code? How do you code? And then relevant experience around that also is important. So some of the top skills, top soft skills here are, passion, curiosity, and enthusiasm. Trust me, for any firm, maybe for Google, for whatever top firm out there, passion, curiosity, and enthusiasm are definitely some of the key things that any employee that is joining the team, is one of the skills they would like any of their employees to have. Definitely, you should show that beyond just writing code and solving problems and bringing applications to life, bringing solutions around, there should be that burning passion that beyond, because honestly, a senior HR colleague once said one time that it's really easy to find someone to do the job, but the truth is it's difficult to find someone who is passionate about what they are doing day in, day out. So passion, that burning passion, will take you beyond just getting your work done. People skills. You need to be good with. These days you can't just be a standalone server, really. You work in a team. You would have colleagues. You would have a manager you report to. You would have you would obviously just have a lot of people around you. So being able to collaborate, being able to work with people, it's a great thing because. So for instance, we have a team of 10 people. If you are the person who has a nasty attitude, I do not want, I hope none of us is that person that everyone refers to as the person with a nasty attitude. Wouldn't it rather make sense to drop one person for the sake of 9 other people than, you have a superstar? He's a superstar, but nobody else can work with him. So that is another one. Personality, cultural fits. I think I've discussed all of that already. And then, problem solving skills definitely is another one. How you attack a problem is, you have to be able to tell me this is why you're doing it this way. Why are you going this way? Why are you doing it this way? And so that's that for that. Okay, so back to questions to expect at an interview. Through research and I can tell you that some of the questions listed here, they might not come out the way they are, the way I've worded them here, but you definitely expect to get questions around this scope on your technical interview. So I have them here, tell me about yourself. What's the most difficult project that you've worked on? What's the most interesting project that you've worked on? What's your biggest achievement? So I think you just need to have these answers to some of these questions already, in your left pocket, your right pocket, your backpack, so you can easily just keep getting into those angles and bringing them out. Because really, once you are well prepared, these are some of the things that will not catch you off guard, really. So the most recent finding. So usually, if you're interviewing as a Java developer, for instance, I can easily ask you, okay, so what's the latest thing you read about Java? What's the new thing? What's the most recent developments in Java? What do you know about the company? So usually, I would not expect that you're really passionate and serious about joining our company if we ask you what our mantra and so what our maybe visions are or missions, and you just cannot get into it. It just almost shows like it almost comes off as you being unserious or not really taking the role seriously. What's your greatest achievement? Can you work under pressure? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are you a team player? How do you handle difficult clients? Tell me about the time a client wasn't happy with your work. What's your expected salary? Yes, that's there. Why should we hire you? What skills are you bringing to the team? Why should we hire you? We have 1,001 other applicants. Why you? What book did you last read? How do you ensure quality? Do you use best industry practices around your trade? Yes. What frameworks and tools are you most comfortable with? and talk me through your last project. Even so, for some of the newbies, whether you do not have so much years of experience, I mean, it could be any project. It could be the last project you worked on while in university. It could be a freelance gig that you worked on. It could be anything around here, any project that you worked on recently. So, permit me to just talk about some common mistakes that um, that we've noticed in some of the interviews that we've conducted in the past, and so you should be on the lookout for those common mistakes. I think one major one that I've noticed in the over time is some applicants usually answer a behavioral question, a question like, how did you solve something? So a behavioral question of something you should have done in the past, something you had done in the past, answering it with a hypothetical answer. So imagine asking about what you did in the past, and then you're saying something like, I will do this, I will do that. I mean, it just comes off as you not being genuine. I mean, I can easily tell that you've probably not been exposed to that kind of thing before. So really, again, coming out clean is you cannot, I mean, just don't ever forge it, don't fake it. Just come out clean and at least say something in relevance to some project you've worked on in the past, and say something like, oh, well, I was able to go about this using this, not the I would or I will kind of, just go around, drop things from your experience, and then showcase how you were able to get around some solutions in the past. Yeah, so there's the other one. Obviously, the imposter syndrome. That's what I just spoke about, really. So maybe you're just getting worried about. So you've gotten stuck somewhere, and the answer to the question is not coming to you. Just let them know that, well, at the moment, you're just unable to figure this out, but you've done this before. You've done something around that technology before, or yeah, something like that. Okay, so let's move on now to asking the right questions. So like I said, the standard technical interview really would start with an introductory chat, and then the interviewer would go into, okay, tell me about your soft skills. They want to know your motivations, what technologies you're comfortable with, and how much of the technical skills you claim to have in your resume you really have. But towards the end of the interview, I believe standard practice that there would usually be a point where you would also get to ask questions around things with the firm, maybe around questions around the role you're applying for, or questions around the company, questions around the MD, or whatever questions you have. So yeah, I think it would be nice to also have some of these questions already penned down somewhere, and so you're able to ask some of these questions, maybe 2, 3 questions at least. So you're not just the type of person who says, yeah, you're good, you know everything already. All right, so I have some of them here. How large is your team? I mean, obviously, if you'll be joining the team, you need to know the size of the team. Who would I be working with? Who would I be working for? You would want to know who you'll be working directly with, how many managers you'll be reporting to. Is there any training scheme from which you benefit? What is the most important from get familiar with some of these things, or ask the interviewer at some stage? Are there promotional benefit prospects? So like, how does the company help you achieve your own career development, your growth, and those kind of things? What are the biggest opportunities, challenges facing the department, company right now? These are some of the things ideally you should be able to ask the interviewer. So yes, ask the right questions, and then we'll move on from there. So the interviewer has asked you all of the questions, and that is done. And you've been able to ask them 1 or 2 questions too. And then, so what next? I think after the interview, you need to just evaluate yourself and look at your own performance. How well did I do? What did I not do wrong? What can I improve on? And then don't beat yourself up, really. I mean, if it's a role that you really want to get, you would have put in your best. I mean, you would have prepared well and done your best. So you've done your best. I mean, pick the positives, pick whatever you think you didn't do so well on, improve yourself, and then move on from there. So usually you can do a follow-up. So give them some time, and then you reach out to just ask what's going on. I mean, I know that usually the interviewers, the company should give you feedback. I mean, maybe that's not ideal, but yes. So it'd be nice for you to, follow up. I mean, if you got a contact person over there, if you, got someone's email, got someone's number, you can just reach out. For it's about your work experience, projects you've worked on, and some of those things. So yes, moving on. Okay, so I think we have exhausted I think that's all we have on here for now. So let's discuss. Like I said earlier, usually technical interviews can be so much hard work. It can be stressful. It can be long. I mean, usually in any tech firm, for instance, these days, I can guarantee you that you most likely might not get a job after a first interview. You would most likely talk to. I mean, so there will be like 2, 3, 4 stages. There will be an initial call, and then you need to just stay motivated and follow through the process. So there will be an initial call, and then there will be a second stage interview, and that's maybe a technical team lead or some person there with the technical team would be on that call, and then there will be like the next level. There will be maybe top management, and then so usually, yeah, you just need to stay motivated across the entire process. So I mean, and trust me, the stats don't lie. 90% of candidates end up getting rejected in technical interviews. I mean, it's just because the number of applicants, the number of applications they would have gotten would have been so many, and then they will they will just cut it off to some few, and eventually maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 5 people would eventually get those roles. So you need to just understand your skills, understand your experience and your background, and then be able to clearly communicate, you need to clearly be able to communicate and, talk about your past projects, your portfolio, and just give it your all, really. You listen to the questions the interviewer has to give you, then you think to the, if it's a question, if it's a problem, you think to process it, and then you give an answer. And yeah, at the end of the interview, like I said, ask open-minded questions, and I can guarantee you your next technical interview would be better than the ones you probably had in the past. Okay, so let's look at the questions that we've had so far, and let's get into the interactions right away. Okay, so I have a question from, the question says, at what stage in the interview do I talk about remuneration? So if you're sure that So I think, if it's the 4-stage, 3-stage interview, like from the maybe second, or I think it should be the final stage really. Yeah, because it should be the final stage really. But sometimes really, these days there are a lot of job openings usually come with the salary is already stated out there. So I mean, I'm also a fan of don't waste my time, let me not waste your time as well. So usually, so if you're a senior dev and you would have your expectations in terms of remuneration, if you see a junior dev role, I believe you would not even probably jump on that opening. But it's once you're a senior dev and you're applying for a senior dev role, it's I don't think it's smart to start asking for salary expectations from the onset. It's not good. Just get into the role, get into what's expected in the team, get into all of those other details, and then when you're talking to like maybe top management or like the hiring manager is when I think is ideal for you to start talking salary and figures, numbers. So we have another question here. How much calls or emails is too much for follow-up? Honestly, I don't think there's anything as too much calls or too much emails. You need to be dogged. I don't know. You need to. There's no such thing really. As long as you have not gotten a conclusive feedback on an interview, and honestly, I think you can keep following up. You can keep following up. You'll be surprised that sometimes, or maybe the hiring manager did not quickly make a decision on something, and an opening just comes somehow from somewhere, and your follow-up email or message could just be so timely that the person will just say, "Hey, this is a great candidate. Let's call her or call him up. Let's call her or call him in for an interview." And instead of them starting the entire process again, they've just had a great person in the pipeline, like just hanging on for the next level. So I don't think there's any such thing as too much calls or too much emails, as long as you've not gotten concrete feedback, like the talks has not been closed. You don't have a conclusive thing like, okay, we've moved on, we've gotten someone else. I think you should keep giving it your all and asking. So we have another one. Please, I really like this session. Keep the questions coming. Do you need to dress corporate for a virtual interview? Not really. Because it's a virtual call. But when you say a virtual call, I believe you would show your face and show. I mean, it's a video call. Really, you should. You don't have to dress corporate, but I mean, do. Sorry about that. It's okay. So I didn't want to say this before, but if sometimes to doing well on the technical interview, I think you need to understand the interviewer's perspective too. That would probably help you. You also need to think of yourself sometimes. So this will help you understand the interviewer's expectations or what he or she is thinking in his or her head as well. So take for instance, you are the interviewer, and then I'm the person applying, and then you booked me in for a virtual call, say 3 p.m. I'm at my house, yes. I'm in my comfort zone, but I should not show up on the call wearing my underwear, like my singlet, or you should not just come off with that kind of thing. So you don't have to dress all formal, really, but at least just be presentable, really. I think common sense practice is what should go on here. Really, just if it's a round neck you want to do, if it's a polo, but just be presentable and obviously do not overdo, really. Okay, so I have another question here that says, what would someone that has developed desktop apps and web apps that are not hosted do to overcome questions that demand you to showcase your previous project? Sorry, I think we understand this. Let me go right. Let me go over it again. What would someone that has developed desktop apps and web apps that are not hosted do to overcome questions? Okay, I see. There are a couple of ways. You can easily there are a lot of free hosting. So you need to probably just reach out to a couple of your peers and find out how they host. So I mean, there are places where you can just put on your project for there are free hosting websites out there. I mean, if you need to do a demo, really, you need to find a way to showcase it. There are ways to go around this thing, really. You need to just go outside of your comfort zone and ask questions. So if you, for instance, want to showcase a project and it's not hosted in maybe on your local server and then map it to something, you just need to ask someone. And you would have your expectation in terms of remuneration. If you see Hello? Yes, so there are a lot of ways to go around this. You just need to look in the right direction. You need to look in the right places or ask the right people around you to help you maybe host locally or host on some free server somewhere. Just so that even if it's for the period of the interview, it could be 30 minutes, as long as that project is just up there, it would be nice to, because many times really the interviewers just need to see, really, you need to see. Many times these days, a lot of people say they can do this, they can do that, but they cannot back it up. They cannot back the talk up with the actual work, and in software engineering, you really need to, you're building applications, you're building solutions. It's all about doing. It's more of, there's no such thing as I can, but you cannot actually get the work done. So I mean, you always have to have a portfolio. I mean, back in the day, it was only UI UX designers that used to have a portfolio. These days, for any role really, you need to have something to showcase. And so I mean, there are definitely ways around hosting your project somewhere, somehow, just to showcase at the interview stage. All right, guys, please keep the questions coming. We're having fun here. Keep the questions coming. Okay, I'll just wait, a couple more minutes to see if 3 minutes to see if we'll get more questions in. Oh, I see some comments over there. Hi, Tai. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining the call. It's nice to have you. Oh, I see the comments from Tai. Oh, apologies about that. I'll reach out to you shortly. So I think I'll just do a rundown of everything we've done, and we would call it a wrap. So yeah, at a technical interview, you really need to just know your stuff, and you need to get there early. You need to show up early, and then keep a clear line of communication. You need to be articulate and communicate clearly with your interviewer. You need to have good body language. If it's a physical interview, you need to, I mean, dressing is also key. You need to at least have good appearance. Some tech firms are not particular about you dressing corporate, but if it's if you were told before the interview that that's the standard, really, I think you should. I mean, if you're going to interview at a bank, for instance, you should know that you need to just at least conform. You need to dress up like the rest of the team members over there. To speak clearly, speak confidently. At the end of the interview, you need to have a very strong closing. I know it can be awkward. I mean, sometimes technical interviews always end in an awkward manner, but it shouldn't always be that way. Trust me. I mean, at the end of the interview, you need to how do I put it? You need to remind the interviewer about your strengths. I mean, there's what we call USP, your unique selling point. You need to close on that note. And so maybe at the back of the interviewer's head, he knows that that guy, there's a way he can always just say, oh, that was that guy that was very great with React. That was that guy who built an app using this, that. You need to have a very, very strong closing, and follow up. I mean, sometimes the recruiters get caught up and swamped up. They get really caught up with a lot of work and they are swamped with work, but you need to keep asking for your follow. I mean, they owe you feedback, really. And so if you've not gotten feedback, you can always ask for feedback, and yes, hopefully that comes through. And yes, so at the back of your mind too, when you're going for any technical interview, I think you should just always guide yourself with three major things: your most difficult tasks, your biggest successes, and your failures. You can easily dwell on most of the answers you'll be giving from some of these subject areas. Those are some of the great tips that we have for you. All right, guys, it's been a pleasure hosting you today. Thank you for joining us. So we've come to the end of the webinar. We would be coming back to you with more great content soon. As always, thank you once again. So we're signing out now. Have a great day. Bye.